Denise. Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. Denise. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the show. It is Friday, September 9th, and I am officially back to do these Friday streams. I know I've been missing quite a few, mainly because there's been so much going on. Obviously, this past weekend, I was down in Chicago, and I think the week before that, I don't even know what was happening anymore, but I legitimately, this week has just been like nonstop, go, in terms of like lots of pro wrestling. So I gotta tell you, like, we got some pretty solid episodes tonight of both Smackdown and Rampage, but honestly, I feel a little beat tonight. I think tonight was officially the day where I was like, oh my God, it's been a long night. I think I felt pretty much like, for the most part, the last couple of minutes of Rampage for me were a little bit hard to like just continue to stay focused, mainly because I was just like, okay, it's been a long week. I felt it. But either way, we did get two pretty good shows back to back. For the most part, you know, the number one thing that I feel like I have to know in regards to SmackDown is that the show is definitely getting so much better. It still doesn't feel like a can't miss show, but it is definitely getting a lot better. In terms of Rampage, I thought today's Rampage was probably the most I feel like there was more of a reason to watch Rampage here tonight than maybe some of the past Rampages as well. So on both sides of WWE and AEW, they gave us a little bit more of a reason to actually tune into the shows, which is nice because I appreciate that. But before we get into it, I am going to go ahead and cover SmackDown first and then get into Rampage. And before I do that, just a heads up, everybody, if you're new here to the stream on Fridays, it's more of a relaxed show, more of a chill show. But if you still want to help support the show and help keep me funded here, please feel free to send in a super chat. If you do, I will make sure to read your question, comment, statement, rant, whatever it is you want to say on here. I will make sure to read that as well. But let's go ahead and hop into our first super chat of the day. This is from Steven. Thank you so much to Steven, who says, let's get Denise to 1 million views. So for those of you who do not know what he's talking about that CM Punk video, guys. That CM Punk video that is really doing very, very well. Not just because it was the most like talked about topic, but also I got a pretty good video of the whole thing. And I'm going on my phone right now because the video is currently at 938,000 views. 938,000 views. I'm trying to get it to 1 million. It's bound to get there. It's just a matter of time. It's slowly getting up there. So if you guys haven't already, head on over to the YouTube channel. It's almost there. It's almost at 1 million. But thank you so much to Steven for sending in our first super chat of the day. We also have another one from Reggie Simmons, the good friend Reggie Simmons, who says, just supporting the best post-game show in the game. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that, and I appreciate all of the support, man. Really, I do. All right, let's get into this, everybody. Let's get into, thank you, Dooley, who says, Denise, thanks for being a quality journalist in the wacky world of wrestling. I appreciate that comment. Seriously, I do. All right, let's get into SmackDown, everybody, because we had a very, I would say, strong opening to the show, which I was a big fan of. It was probably, it was my favorite thing on the entire show here today for SmackDown, at least. And that was the Brawling Brutes, Butch. We got Butch, Ridge Holland, Sheamus against Imperium. And I got to tell you, so after Clash of the Castle, Sheamus and Gunther were literally the match that was worth watching that show. Like, for reals, like that show, when you go back and you think about what really stood out, what was really a top highlight, a top moment of the show, it was legitimately Gunther versus Sheamus. That match absolutely rocked. It got itself 5 stars. You name it, it happened. So today, I think the great part about how this all got started was that when so it was a 3-on-3, right? And the thing about this was that the entire time, people were so like excited, and I know that I saw it in the crowd. I felt it in myself. We were all so excited, really, just to see Sheamus and Gunther like be opposite of each other in the ring. And that to me is the most awesome part about the whole thing, is that they did such a great job in that match at Clash at the Castle that it made you just want to see them like again in the ring with each other. And so personally, like, dude, I loved this match. I thought it was good, not only because they worked their way up to that moment where we finally got Sheamus and Gunther, but also on top of that, all the other guys in there, it feels like it's really livening up the like tag team division just by seeing all of these guys like even go at it. Like personally, it's added so much to SmackDown. Like even just these 6 guys in this program together has added so much to the quality of SmackDown. Like you don't even know. Like if you haven't been watching SmackDown like every single week, trust me, they've already added so much to the show. I love this. There's a bunch of things that I enjoyed from this. Obviously, Butch immediately going after Gunther and trying to like get him with some chops, but clearly that wasn't going to work. So Gunther literally just like chops the hell out of Butch like one time and he goes down, and Butch tries to get Gunther's fingers, but it doesn't last very long for Butch there. The only thing that I did not like was mainly just, and this is a small little like nitpicking thing, was we were all waiting for that Sheamus Gunther moment, and then they finally get together in the ring. Like the moment's finally going to happen, and all we see is them kind of like getting ready, and we go to commercial like right away. So I'm thinking, okay, when we come back from commercial, maybe they'll give us a replay of whatever the hell happened with Sheamus and Gunther. They didn't do any of that. So it was just like seeing them together, quick fade away into commercial. We came back and they had continued the match. And for me, that did take a little bit of it out just because everybody was anticipating that moment. We did end up getting it afterwards, finally, when Sheamus gets the hot tag in there and he just goes and runs through both members of Imperium. And there was this moment, Jesus Christ. And I don't know, I forgot to look on Twitter to see if anybody put the GIF out. I'm pretty sure it's out there, but there was a moment where Sheamus just freaking goes to town, guys, on Ludwig Kaiser. He just like starts getting him with those chops to the chest. Like, I can't even describe to you guys, like he just like went to town. I can't even describe it, okay? That's the one thing that I would say. If you're not going to go back and watch SmackDown and you're just going to see a clip or something, that's the clip to watch, man, because he like literally brutalized Ludwig Kaiser during that moment. It was phenomenal. It was freaking phenomenal. I loved that. There was a lariat from Ridge that ended up being a near fall because Gunther came from the back and chopped Ridge Holland from the back. That was also another brutal little moment. Finally, like all chaos emerges. We end up seeing every guy just like go at it. On the outside, you see Sheamus and Gunther going at it. So that's how you know it worked. In the end, we did see the Imperial Bomb for the finish, and Imperium gets the win. But seriously, this was my favorite thing that I saw on SmackDown tonight. This was like, to me, this was like peak show for this. Peak show. All right, let's get some thoughts in here. Thank you so much to Artemio Rosales, who sends in a super chat. Thank you for your generosity. Artemio says, thanks for your show. Sammy is a beast. Yeah, seriously. Wait, are you talking about Sammy Guevara? Wait, hold on. Are you talking about Sammy Guevara? I'm sure you're talking about Sammy Guevara because the other Sammy spells his Sammy name differently. Sorry, I'm just making sure we're on the same page. But either way, Artemio, sorry for butchering your super chat. I appreciate you sending this in, and I'm going to assume you're talking about Sammy Guevara. Thank you, Artemio. We got a super chat from LJ Mickey who says Sami Zayn is always the highlight of SmackDown. Dude is, and we'll talk about Sami Zayn, pretty much right. Well, actually, let's just go into this right now. We'll talk more about them throughout the show, but for the most part, we have Sami Zayn and the Usos out there. They basically bring out Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa officially, joins them after his main roster debut at Clash of the Castle, in which he costed Drew McIntyre the match against Roman Reigns. Y'all already know how I felt about that. I wasn't a fan about that, but whatever. that's neither here nor there. I'm not going to go on a rant about that today. I am way too tired on a Friday to go rant about what the hell happened at Clash at the Castle. Either way, but so Drew comes in. He's pissed. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to have to go into a little bit of a rant, just a little bit, because Drew McIntyre comes in and he's pissed off at freaking Solo Sikoa. He's pissed off. He costed him the match, and rightfully so, right? He should be pissed off at him. He wants a piece of him tonight, this and that. But I'm sorry. I just can't get over that after Drew McIntyre lost like the most important match, the most significant match of his career, ended up singing karaoke immediately following that. I started thinking like, oh man, they made Drew McIntyre look so bad during this because he loses this big important match, right? In his home turf, his territory, whatever you want to call it. I'm literally choking here just talking about this. And he loses, right? Whatever, fine, whatever, right? Ruined a big moment, something that could have been a big moment, but whatever. A lot of people were expecting Roman Reigns to win regardless, whatever. But the point is that after that, he then went into a karaoke thing with freaking Tyson, and you're like, why? Why? And I get it. They wanted to send home the crowd happy, a sing-along for the crowd, everything, everybody, whatever. But it's like, are you really that mad if right away you went into karaoke mode instead of going after this guy, Solo Sikoa? I'm sorry. So this was the one thing that for me was just like, I'm sorry. I couldn't get behind this moment on SmackDown when Drew McIntyre was very angry at Solo Sikoa, because I'm like, bro, you weren't that angry. Like, you were out there singing karaoke. And I get it, but still. Anyways, so this threw me off. But whatever. See, I told myself, don't go on a rant today, Denise. But regardless, LJ Mickey, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. And I didn't even get to the rest of the segment, though. We did see Drew coming in. He's pissed off. He hits Sammy with the chair. Sammy's the one who ends up taking the chair shot. And this ends up basically setting up a match for later on in the evening. But before we get to that, let me make sure I'm caught up with your guys' comments here and see what people are saying in regards to all of this other stuff here. Man, I'm always going on a rant, guys. I try not to go on a rant every now and then, but sometimes it happens. All right, so let's go ahead and move on from here. John Bain RKO says, to be frank, the singing did fit in okay for us British folk. You know what, though? I will tell you this, though. I guess yes and no. I mean, obviously, I'm not British, so I can't speak on your behalf or anything like that. But the crowd reaction and the crowd shots told me everything that I needed to know during that. It really did. But whatever. I'm continuing on. Thank you so much to Maj Motar, who sends in a super chat saying, I'm the type who'd sing after losing, so I don't cry. Okay, I get it, right? I get it. But it's true. No, I don't get it. I'm just trying to make you feel better. I hated it. And I'm going to hate it for the rest of my life, okay? For the rest of my life, I'm going to be mad that Drew McIntyre did random ass karaoke immediately after that match with Roman Reigns. I got to tell you, like, I wish future me came and like warned me, because I really would have recorded my reaction to that. I was just sitting there with the biggest WTF face reaction ever. But whatever. It's neither here nor there. Oh, man. Mosh Motar, thank you so much for the super chat here. And I do agree with Fernando, who, by the way, says this was a great opening to SmackDown with the brutes, the brawling brutes and Imperium that we talked about earlier. All right. Also, speaking of the British, WWE did pay tribute or their respects to Queen Elizabeth II, who passed away. Obviously, that was worldwide global news, and I tweeted it, right? Like, I just put the little picture, the little image that they shared to pay their respects. It was interesting. A lot of the comments were not what I was expecting. To be honest, I don't really know what to expect, because I've been seeing like half and half. Like, I've been seeing people, mourn the queen, and then I've been seeing people like definitely not mourning the queen. So I have no idea what to make of what each person's reaction to this is going to be. But it definitely had a lot of people talking in terms of like the WWE, the WWE part, actually them putting it on the screen, that sort of thing. Anyways, but they paid tribute to the queen. That to me was expected, obviously. But we got Toxic Attraction versus Raquel and Aaliyah. So first and foremost, looks like Toxic Attraction is back on SmackDown. They had the SmackDown title card and everything. So I don't really know what's going on with them right now. I'm assuming they're now officially main roster. No idea. I guess we'll find out whether or not we continue to see them on NXT 2.0, or maybe they'll do both. I have no idea. But they did have the SmackDown title card on the show. Regardless, like Toxic Attraction should be on the main roster at this point. I feel like they've done just about it all on NXT 2.0. Really, they have. They were such a big like focus. They pretty much were a huge focus of this new era of NXT 2.0. We've talked about that extensively on the Tuesday show. But I think they're about the point where they could go in and be on the main roster. And, we've talked about, the women's roster being a little slim, and they add a lot. Gigi and JC, they're a good team together. They got a great look together. And obviously with Mandy Rose, they all look great together. So regardless, I was happy to see them today on SmackDown against Raquel and Aaliyah. So basically the story here is, commentary was also saying how basically Raquel and Aaliyah, they basically said like they really aren't, they still have to prove to everybody why they're champions, right? Because a lot of people aren't still buying them as champions. And commentary was basically like kept telling us that over and over again. That's the one thing where I'm like, okay, like we get it, but if you want me to care about this match even just a little bit, I don't want to keep hearing how like the champions have to keep proving themselves. To me, it kind of takes away from the championship belts when you have to keep telling me that the champions have to keep proving themselves. Like, I get it, I know it, but the whole story here is that Raquel is pretty much carrying this entire team. And the thing is that they keep winning the matches in all the same ways too, in which Raquel basically she's the one that ends up getting the win for her team with the Tejana Bomb. And they retain. This was fine for what it was. They're just getting, letting Raquel and Aaliyah get them wins. But in terms of I'll just be honest with you though, I still feel like, unfortunately, because nobody is buying them as like a legitimate team, which kind of sucks to say. I really don't like saying that. But because nobody is buying them as a legitimate team, I kind of feel like we're just waiting to see who the champions are going to be like after Raquel and Aaliyah. So it does very much feel like a very transitional type of champions. But I feel bad and all, but and it's like you feel this way, and then commentary keeps telling you that you're pretty much right in feeling this way. So I'm just basically waiting to see who's actually going to become champions right after Raquel and Aaliyah so that I can, kind of start taking the belts a little bit more seriously. But right now it just doesn't really feel like that's happening. And I like both Raquel and Aaliyah, but it's just that obviously they're starting, like Raquel has been booked like pretty well. But Raquel and Aaliyah together as a duo, it's a little, you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit there. All right, let's see what we got here and see what people are saying. We got Gaming with Goose. It says Raquel and Aaliyah remind me of Rhea and Nikki. I think the reason for that is, and they're polar opposite teams because, well, they were polar opposite teams. Obviously, Rhea and Nikki are no longer a team. But Rhea and Nikki, though, both were like credible on their own, in their own rights, right? They were both, when they were singles competitors, they are both like believable as like girls that could all go out there and beat the living crap out of everybody, right? And so that's not even like the issue, right? It was more so of the hugging thing, like the running up and like jumping on like the girl that's bigger, because Nikki and Rhea were a size difference. And same thing with Raquel and Aaliyah are a size difference. So I think it's more so like the size difference and how they're always celebrating, like jumping on top of each other and all of that, which, to be honest, like it's funny, it's cute, right? It's endearing, but I don't think, never in my entire life have I ever jumped on top of somebody else while I was celebrating something. Like, I don't know. It's not like maybe I'm not super. I don't know. Has anybody here ever like jumped on top of somebody to celebrate something? I always found it odd when Rhea and Nikki would do it, and I feel the same way when Aaliyah and Raquel do it. Like I've never jumped on top of somebody to celebrate a victory, but clearly I haven't had the moment, you know? I don't know. It takes me a second to like actually buy it. I don't know. It's weird. It's a little weird. All right, moving on from this here. Let's see. Let's get into the Fatal Five Way. So earlier today, they basically released the Extreme Rules poster with Ronda Rousey on the cover, and that, for the most part, pretty much gave away the direction that they were going in for Extreme Rules. We ended up having this Fatal Five Way, and it was for the winner of this Fatal Five Way to go and face Liv Morgan at Extreme Rules, and for the title for the SmackDown Women's Championship. It was Lacey Evans, Sonya Deville, Ronda Rousey, Natalya, and Xia Li. All the women here got eliminated rather quickly, and the final two women were Sonya and Ronda. And they, for a second, played like the MMA thing for a second there, like that's the story that they were trying to tell for a bit, but it didn't really last long. Ronda Rousey quickly got her in the Piper's Pit, locked her in the ankle lock, and she got the win. So this was very, very quick, very straightforward. There really wasn't anything to really be so over the moon about. Like there wasn't anything that was really memorable in this match, and it happened very quickly. And it just simply got to the point of Ronda Rousey gets the win. That's that. I think that they could have done a lot more with this. I feel like they had enough women here in this Fatal Five Way, clearly. And I think they could have told a better story in ring wise as well. I feel like they just this was a very quick, like, let's go in there, have Ronda win, and that's it. Like, it didn't feel like there was anything else that, like, much else thought put into it. I would have really liked to see just a little bit more there. I think that it could have been a lot better. But either way, we're going to get Ronda Rousey versus Liv Morgan, and this is their second time. Obviously, Liv Morgan cashed in her Money in the Bank on Ronda Rousey, so that was the first official win for Liv Morgan. And then afterwards, they had their SummerSlam match, which really didn't go too well, mainly because they didn't really make Liv Morgan look all that great. And now we're going to go ahead and get this match again. And based so far on like what I've seen on Twitter, I kind of saw more people not really wanting to see this match than I did people who wanted to see this match. So I feel for the most part, like I feel that Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey, this is an opportunity for them to kind of like redo their SummerSlam match, because that wasn't very good. And I think that they can tell a better story. In-ring wise with both Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey this time around. And I don't know if they're going to have Ronda Rousey defeat Liv Morgan, or if they're going to give Liv Morgan this like massive win. If they do, I hope they do it in a way that really feels believable for Liv Morgan. So I'm curious to see what direction they're going to go in with this one. It's been a little bit hard for me to like guess what they're going to do with Liv Morgan, because even when Liv Morgan wrestled when she wrestled Shayna Baszler, like I for a second thought like, oh, it's definitely going to be Shayna, because I can't buy Liv Morgan defeating Shayna. And lo and behold, Liv Morgan won that. And that was actually my favorite match that they did for Liv Morgan during this championship run. Like she really needed a match like what she did with Shayna Baszler. So I feel like if she could do something similar with Ronda Rousey, then this would be a phenomenal win for Liv Morgan. So that's why I know there's people that don't want to see this match, but I kind of feel like there's a lot of possibility there with Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey. So we'll see what they do. I really hope it's a lot better than their SummerSlam match, but I'm not going to completely disregard it. I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. So we'll see. I know for the most part, Twitter really wasn't all that invested in this match, and I get it. After the events of SummerSlam, I get it, but we'll see what happens there. We got a super chat here from Steven who says, I think Adam Pearce is going to interfere at Extreme Rules and he will cost Ronda the match. Obviously, Adam Pearce and Ronda Rousey have been, going back and forth, especially after the events from last week where he basically was calling her a bitch and all this other stuff. That got really intense, and low key, I really kind of like this like chemistry between Adam Pearce and Ronda Rousey. I don't know what the hell's going on between them, but I like it. Thank you so much to Steven for also sending in this super chat as well. And we got people asking, Luis here says, why couldn't you have given more time to the women's match? This match could have definitely gotten longer, but I can't talk about that. I always get heat when I talk about that. Apparently, I can't talk about women getting more time because then everybody just loses their minds. But whatever. Verates VQ, who says, are you telling me that Twitter is not an accurate representation of what the wrestling world represents? It's so crazy to me. And I love this conversation because, Twitter and like, it is pretty wild. And you don't realize how different the Twitter world is until you actually go out to the events. Once you go out to the events, it's night and day, man. So night and day. So yeah, we obviously know that Twitter's not representing the entire wrestling fan base. Artemio Rosales sends in another super chat saying the announcers kind of did a CM Punk reference, the Who investigation and keeping it private and how Ronda got punished privately. Yes. So they did do this. Michael Cole basically, spoke about this, how there's an investigation and Ronda Rousey is she's being punished privately and this and that. This definitely did feel like they were alluding to the situation that occurred with AEW and the all-out media scrum, post-brawl, and everything that occurred during that. It was instant. The second I heard Michael Cole say that, my brain was like, okay, they're playing off of what happened with AEW and they're like incorporating it, or maybe like not incorporating it because it was already like the storyline that they were going with, but they basically added to it. Like they added to it. This was a straight, I don't want to say shot at AEW because I don't really see it as a shot. I saw it more as like them basically like they're alluding to that, like, yeah, we know, we're aware. Let's put this into our story here. But I didn't see it as a shot because a shot to me is more of like a burn, like, ooh, that's a burn. This didn't feel like a burn whatsoever. This was more like a very like a mention, but either way, it was very noticeable. And I knew it right away. I went on Twitter and everybody was like, oh, so did you hear this whole thing about Ronda Rousey and blah, blah, blah? Yeah. So obviously this was definitely something that stood out. And I feel like this was them basically saying like, yeah, we know what's up. We know what's going on. And clearly they do. But either way, Artemio, thank you so much for sending in this super chat as well. All right. So let's move on to my favorite portion of SmackDown. Los Lotharios, Maximum Male Models versus Hit Row and Street Profits. And by the way, for those of you who are new to the show, I'm being sarcastic. I want to be nice. I'm going to be nice. Okay, I'm just going to be real with you guys. This entire match was basically me just thinking, I'll just be real with you. This is the point of the show where I think to myself, I could be out doing something else on a Friday night. You're a young, thriving girl in the biggest city in the world. You could probably be out doing something great, but you're here watching Los Lotharios, Maximum Male Models, and they're whatever the hell you want to call it. This is still not for me, okay? I'm sorry. There were some moments where I chuckled just a little bit over these Maximum Male Model stuff, but Los Lotharios, they haven't done anything respectable with them. Same thing with Maximum Male Models. For the most part, you'll get a chuckle here and there, but I'm not taking them seriously. That's not the point. We're not supposed to take them seriously. And then Hit Row, I feel like they're going to be partnering them with Street Profits a little bit more than some of us might expect. I kind of feel like Hit Row needs Street Profits a little bit, but I also feel like this is kind of, this is new for Street Profits, being so aligned with Hit Row, but it's not necessarily like I would say like the greatest thing doesn't feel like the greatest thing for Street Profits either. So for me personally, there's absolutely nothing in here that I'm interested in regards to this whole bit, man. There was one good spot that I liked, and that was obviously Angelo Dawkins, going over the top rope, landing on all the guys. That was sick. That was dope. I even liked Top Dollar kicking Max Dupree right in the face. That little tease that they did where he almost teased. We all knew he wasn't. We all knew he wasn't going to do what Angelo Dawkins did, but they still teased it, so we knew that he was going to do something else. That was fine, and I did like him kicking Max Dupree in the head. I don't know why. It worked for me. But other than that, there was nothing else to say about this. Street Profits and Hit Row win. And like I said, I have a feeling we're going to keep seeing more of Hit Row teaming up with Street Profits. That's about it. That is about it. Let's see. We got M. Durant who says, shush, please. New York City is the biggest city in the world. Thank you. I appreciate you incorporating it with Otis and Gable, because that leads us right in to the Otis and Gable promo. This was like, all right, Gable's out there running his mouth, doing what he normally does. Braun Strowman comes out. He recently came back on this Monday. So he goes out there. And this is the thing that I want to say first and foremost. Braun goes out there and we're all Otis and Gable, they're not dumb. They knew that Braun was just about to run through them. We knew that, right? But instead of going in and instantly attacking Braun Strowman, Otis and Gable stand there while Braun is like, arr, arr, he's doing his thing, arr, and he has his back to them and they're just standing there watching. And I'm thinking, attack him. Bro, his back is to you. He's clearly there to attack you guys. Attack him. They did it. They waited until he turned around and then Gable pushed Otis. And then they finally did their little melee brawl, whatever the hell you want to call it. Braun Strowman ends up getting a shoulder tackle on Otis. He clotheslines Gable and power bombs Gable. And then this got a great pop because this did look pretty great. This was worth it. This was worth the whole thing. This was worth the whole thing. And it was Braun Strowman lifting up Otis, who is massive. He's huge. He lifts him up, hits him with the power bomb, and everybody marked out for that. That got a great reaction. That was my favorite thing about this whole thing. It was fine. It was impressive. A lot of us marked out. So this was a nice little moment, I would say, for sure. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and continue on from here. Let's see if we got anything good here. Oh, man. We got John here who says the powerbomb on Otis was really cool. I agree, man. It was really, really cool. All right. So before we continue on, we got one more thing to discuss for SmackDown, and then we'll go ahead and jump into AEW Rampage. So let's get right to it. Solo Sikoa versus Drew McIntyre for the main event. This was, to me, this was a whatever match, guys. To be honest, I thought it was whatevers. Really, I did. I didn't really get, I given that it was Solo Sikoa's first match on SmackDown, I did think that it should have been a lot more implosive. It should have been really, really highlighting Solo Sikoa, but I didn't really get much out of this. I feel like you really in the main event against Drew McIntyre after costing him the biggest match at Clash of the Castle, I'm expecting a banger. The bar has been raised. I didn't think that it met the bar that I was expecting it to meet. And Jesus Christ, I punched myself way too hard right now. That actually hurt. That was my punch. To me was more implosive than the Solo Sikoa Drew McIntyre match. But either way, after this, Karrion Kross comes from behind, and so first and foremost, we see McIntyre and Solo Sikoa. They're trading shots in the ring. Sami Zayn ends up distracting the referee, which allows the Usos to essentially pull out Drew McIntyre. And so the Usos then start beating on Drew McIntyre. The Street Profits run down there for the save, and then Ford ends up doing his dive. Afterwards, back in the ring, we see McIntyre hit the Claymore on Solo Sikoa, and Solo Sikoa falls out to the floor. And then that is when Karrion Kross comes from behind and gets him in the cross jacket. And the second he comes in and gets him in the cross jacket is when everything goes black and white. So you guys have seen them do the black and white stuff for the entrances, for the promos, and now they're also doing it for the actual physicality portion of this. I hope they don't do this for his matches like going forward, because I'm not a fan of the black and white stuff. I'll be real with you. I think it's too much like bells and whistles, and I feel like they're doing too much to distract from some of the stuff that may not be really working with the crowd. Because there was, God, when was it? I forgot what week I was talking about in regards to this, but there was a moment where I didn't really think that the Karrion Kross with Scarlett, so much better, right? So much better. It makes a world of a difference, but I still kind of felt like when he made his in-ring Smackdown debut, I still kind of felt like there was a disconnection with Kross and the crowd. Like the crowd still wasn't reacting, I think, that the way that they want them to react to Kross just yet. And so I do kind of feel like it's a little obvious that they're adding too much bells and whistles to distract from the fact that Kross isn't entirely yet connecting with the crowd, with the live audiences that I've been seeing. Obviously, when you do this black and white thing, it does, manipulate things a little bit, and it does look, it isn't as noticeable if the crowd is not really reacting. It's not as noticeable when they, do the camera stuff and they put in the black and white and this and that. So it does distract us from that a little bit. So in that sense, I guess you can say it's working. It had people talking. For the most part, I saw some positive reactions to the black and white thing, especially because they did like a fade out afterwards. For me, it's fine if they do it just for like this type of stuff, but I hope we don't get it for like the entire match or something like that. I think that would be way too much. So I do hope we don't see it for like the entirety of his matches. But either way, it was an interesting way to close out SmackDown. Might have been for some people, might have been not for some people. For me, it was a little bit of a miss. It just wasn't what I'm gonna get like really excited about, So Major Blood says, I laughed when the screen went to black and white. It's a bit much, honestly. Thank you. It is a bit much, guys. It does kind of feels like, YT says this is worse than the Fiend's red lighting. I don't know. I think they're on par with one another. The red lighting actually can affect viewers more than the black and white. Like the red lighting could be disturbing for some people and, their vision or whatever. The black and white, maybe not as much, but, there we go. M. Durrett says, let it play out, Denise. Let it play out. Let's see what we got here. Let's go ahead and get this comment from Matt Hensley, who says the people in the crowd probably haven't been watching NXT in a long time. None of the recent call-ups are really connecting with the crowd. Yeah, I mean, there was, it's very obvious that there was a drop-off after the rebrand of NXT into NXT 2.0. So, obviously that's crystal clear, but there hasn't been, like, usually when you would get some of those NXT call-ups, it was like, yes, this person made it. They're on the main roster finally. Now it's like, okay, well, let me see what this person's going to do before I start reacting, that kind of thing. All right, let's go ahead and see. This is from John, who says it takes away from the feeling of an attack being spontaneous when someone is waiting to push a button to turn the screen black and white. And when Zeno says he loved the fade to black, though. Yeah, I had a lot of people that I saw that were putting that over, that they liked the fade to black. It's not going to make or change my day. All right. AEW Rampage. Before we get into that, just a friendly reminder, guys, I do go live 3 times a week here on F4W online. It's been a long week, everybody. It's literally been nonstop since I came back from Chicago. I don't even remember my last day off. I don't even know when the hell that last happened. But either way, it's been nonstop, guys, literally. And it's going to keep going. So anyways, tomorrow, I will be at Social Gloves. For those of you who do not know, it's like a boxing influencer event, and I'm going to be part of their broadcast on Fight TV. I'm going to be, from my understanding, I'm going to be on like the pre-show or something. I'm not too clear, so don't take my word for it. but I know I'm going to be on it. But either way, I'm really excited about that. So that's going to be pretty exciting to do. And then I do go live here 3 times a week on F4W Online. On Tuesdays, I'm here to chat NXT 2.0 for those of you who still care. Wednesdays, I'm here to talk about AEW Dynamite. This past Wednesday was obviously the most anticipated AEW Dynamite in a very long time. So that show did tremendous views. And then Fridays, we usually don't know what's going to happen Fridays. It could be a lot to talk about for Smackdown and Rampage or like a so-so show. But let's get into AEW Rampage now, because we started off with obviously we have the tournament that is going on for, there we go. Let me pull this up really quickly. We have the Grand Slam Tournament of Champions to crown a new world champion. And we ended up seeing Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin 4, with the winner going on to face Jon Moxley next week on AEW Dynamite. And the winner from that match will be taking one of the spots in the finals that is going to be happening at AEW Dynamite Grand Slam. So anyways, we got Darby versus Sammy 4. And this was, okay, I'm going to be real with you guys. I thought Darby Allin was going to win this. Like, that was my prediction. I thought, oh, Darby's going to win it. I was legitimately surprised when Sammy won. I'm not anti or anything against it, because I still think my person that's going to win, my pick, is Bryan Danielson. I still think he's going to win regardless. That's my prediction. But let's talk about this actual match, because I was a fan of this one. There was a lot of things that they did in here that I liked. There were some things that I didn't like, but let's break it down. So, instantly, we see a superplex from Sammy. We see him attempt the 3 amigos, but he only ends up hitting 2. We see Darby do a suplex on Sammy to the outside, and there's a really awesome spot where Darby goes in for a tope, but instead Sammy perfectly times it out, catches him, and hits him with the cutter. I love that. I thought the execution of that looked really good. After this, we see Sammy go in and do the shooting star press, but Darby moves out of the way and instead gets him with the code red. So I kind of like that, because it was like both guys, knowing that they've wrestled each other before, were anticipating what the other guy was going to do, and they had a really good counter for both of those spots. So I really did like that little storytelling that we got there. There was a moment that I found hilarious, because obviously Sammy and Ty, they do their whole kissing bit, and it gets under people's skin. We already know the whole story with them. And so they start kissing and making out, and they're kissing on the outside, and Darby ends up diving right onto Sammy as he's like midway through tonguing Ty Mello. And then as they fall to the ground, he turns to Ty and he blows her a kiss. Oh, I kind of love that. That was like the cherry on top of that. I was a fan of that. The moment the spot I didn't like, because I thought it made Darby look dumb, was when Darby took off the ring of Sammy Guevara, his wedding ring. He took it off and he was gonna, be a jerk about it, right? Like he was gonna be really messed up about it. But instead, Ty ends up distracting him because she's trying to get the ring back. And so this essentially allows Sammy Guevara to not only get the upper hand back, but also get the ring back. So I kind of felt like that spot was a little bit pointless, and it kind of just made Darby look a little dumb. So I really wasn't too big of a fan of the ring spot. But afterwards, there was a moment where Sammy Guevara went to the top rope, and he was going to do a cutter, but he starts getting wobbly. And I'm thinking, holy shit, Sammy's gonna this is gonna be a disaster, right? Because his legs are wobbly. He's on the top rope. I'm thinking he's not going to make it. And then lo and behold, he jumps to the other side and he executes it. It was actually pretty impressive, because I legitimately did not think he was going to be able to find his balance. And he did. So kudos to him, because that could have been not so great. And it turned out pretty all right. Sammy ends up going for the coffin drop, but Darby moves out of the way. I liked that spot as well, because that was Sammy essentially being a jerk for, getting him back for getting Darby back for that ring spot by he stole his ring, I'm going to steal his move type of deal. So I did like that. We got a distraction finish. We got Anna Jay distracting the referee. And so this essentially allowed Darby Ty Conti to grab the leg of Darby Allin because he was going to go for the coffin drop, but she stops him, grabs his leg, and so this allows Sammy Guevara to then get the low blow on Darby Allin. So, he didn't win very fairly. Afterwards, he hits him with the skateboard. It was all right because he only got like a little piece of the skateboard, so it didn't look too great. But anyways, he hits his finisher, gets the win, and Sammy is now going to go on to face Jon Moxley. So for the most part, I was a fan of this match. There was a lot of things that I liked. Again, some things that I didn't love. But for the most part, I thought this was a really good opener. I'm actually excited to see Sammy versus Jon Moxley because I was going back because I couldn't remember if we'd seen them wrestle each other. And they have, but it was such a long time ago. The last time they wrestled each other on a one-on-one match was 2 years ago. It was Bash at the Beach 2 years ago, back in 2020. So for the most part, this is a fresh matchup. But also we've seen Moxley and Darby. You can also say that could have also been somewhat of a fresh matchup because the last time they wrestled one-on-one with each other was also back in 2020, but they've wrestled twice before in singles action. So either way, it had been a long time since we'd seen either Moxley and Sammy or Moxley and Darby. But honestly, I think Sammy and Moxley are going to have a good match. Like, I know a lot of people don't like Sammy Guevara. I've seen all of the comments and all of the stuff that has been said about him on Twitter. I've seen it all, right? We've all seen it all. But he does have some great matches. So I do think that his match with Jon Moxley is going to be a really good one. So I'm very much looking forward to that match. So anyways, he continues on. Jon versus Sammy is going to be happening next week on Dynamite. And obviously, I'm expecting Jon Moxley to get the win. We got a super chat here from Kevin Jones who says, I don't want to sound creepy, but your hair's too cute with the highlights. Thank you very much, Kevin. I appreciate it. Seriously, I do. I took a risk by changing up my hair, but I think it helps, right? I think it helps. So thank you so much to Kevin. And all right, let me get caught up here with what everybody is saying. This is from Luis, who says, it's always a good feeling seeing fresh matches. Completely agree. This is from Yodan, who says, AEW does not need another tournament. Just have Moxley versus Danielson or Moxley versus Jericho. I like that they did the tournament. And I know some people don't like the tournaments. I like this tournament. I have nothing against it. We get, think about it. We got this awesome match on Rampage that has, needed a little bit of a reason for us to tune in, right? I like this. All right, let's see if I missed anything that I want to get in here as well. This is from the Coyote, who says, I'm probably in the minority here, but I did not care for this match. Odd chemistry to it, and I think the wrong guy won. That's perfectly fine. That's obviously, you can have your opinion on that. And I get it. I thought that Darby was going to win. I legitimately thought Darby was going to win. But I like this. I am really excited for Sammy versus Jon Moxley. All right, and let's go ahead and continue on from here. And let's get into the Samoa Joe promo that we got here. Dun, 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 dun. Freaking love Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe, your Ring of Honor television champion. He comes out. He returned it all out, as you all recall. And he apologizes to us for being away and says that he owes us more violence in the future. And I'm like, yes, you do, Samoa Joe. He says he's here and he's open for business. And just when you thought it was all over, Mark Sterling comes out, Josh Woods, and Tony Nese. And this is actually really funny because Mark Sterling says, oh, that's cute that you're open for business. Well, while you were out in Hollywood getting pampered, my guys have been working. My guys have been working hard. And Tony Nese, he has more abs than you've had matches in AEW. And he also has more abs. That popped me. That line really, really popped me. Sorry, it was awesome. It was a freaking funny line. Anyway, so I loved this. And this all basically led to Samoa Joe saying, you know what? you're right. Josh Woods, he does work hard. He does deserve a shot at the title. And he says, let's go. Let's do it tonight. But Mark Sterling basically says, like, nah, bro, this is not going to happen right now. The paperwork's not ready. We're not going to do it in this shitty town. So this match is going to be happening next week on Rampage. So this was perfectly fine. Good way to make this match happen. All good stuff there. And we got Miro. Miro does a pre-taped promo, and he's pissed off, right? He's pissed off that he isn't part of the World Championship tournament. He should be pissed off. Hell yeah. So he's pissed off, and he basically says that he cuts a promo on God. He's angry about not being part of the tournament. He says, put the belt under Redeemer now. He says, I'm the right choice because I'm flawless. That popped me too. The part of him saying he was flawless, that was really funny. I think it's more so because, I don't know. I think it was just the use of words that Miro chose for this. This was good stuff, man. I mean, the Miro promos have been great. He gets massive reactions. He's been getting massive reactions. And dude, like, there's no reason why there's no reason why he shouldn't have been part of the tournament. He should have at least been part of it, for sure. So we'll see what they go from here. We got a super chat here from Pete Templar 101 who says, did it have to be smart Mark Sterling answering the challenge? Andrade, Miro, Buddy Matthews, Paige, either Ethan or Adam would have sold the next week's match a lot more. I mean, look, if you're telling me if I want to see, Samoa Joe versus Josh Woods, or Samoa Joe versus Andrade or Miro, Buddy Matthews, or, those people, I'd say, yeah, I'd rather see, Samoa Joe, Andrade, and these guys that you're mentioning. But it's clear that they're keeping like the ROH program and the ROH people with themselves than like, mixing it up a little bit there. And yeah, I mean, like, I would prefer to see these other matches, but for Rampage, it's harmless. Plus, I don't think they had Josh Woods already. I can't remember if they've even had him in a Rampage match yet. I can't even remember. So there you go. Clearly it's needed. Thank you so much to Pete Templar 101 for sending in this super chat. And hopefully we do get to see them mix it up a little bit more with some of the AEW talent and obviously Samoa Joe, because there's a lot of possibilities for some great matches that I really want to see, more so than probably Josh Woods. But that's not a knock on Josh Woods. Josh Woods is just more so that there are some other matches that I'm really ready to see Samoa Joe in, especially because, he was gone for a bit, doing his thing in Hollywood. So yeah, Pete Temple, thank you so much to Pete for sending in that super chat. It's very much appreciated. Seriously. Haj Gulashi says, feels like they didn't want Miro taking an Allin attorney and he wasn't going to be winning it. See, here's the thing though, and I get that because that happens a lot. You see them like saving people, etc. But it's like, even if he's going to be like, let's say he was going to be in the tournament and then lose in the tournament, I don't really think like it would be like, oh my God, Miro lost his tournament. Holy shit, things are over for him. No, it's more so like, all right, cool. You know what? It just wasn't his time. That's fine. But at least he was included. He's a top guy. So at least he was included. We got a banger of a match with whoever he would have been in the tournament against. But obviously this tournament was put together very fast given the circumstances. So there you go. But yeah, I think they could have still put him in there, even if they weren't planning on actually having him win. I think regardless, just putting him in there would have still made a big difference, personally. The Coyote says they have really been saving Miro. Win or lose, give the man more matches. Exactly. All right. Serena Deeb versus Madison Rayne. This was Madison Rayne's third AEW match. Obviously, she's now a coach in AEW. This was fine. I thought the crowd was a little bit disinterested in this match, though. They weren't really like, they were kind of dead during this match. Like, unfortunately, yeah, they just weren't reacting to this match. But I did like the portion where Serena and Madison were basically kind of like, Serena was like yelling at her and telling her, I was the coach first here. Like, this is my company, this and that. I did like that little portion because there's a lot of truth to that. Serena Deeb is someone that like every single woman that you talk to on the AEW roster puts over Serena Deeb because they all love her, right? And she's been, doing a great job. So I did like that she kind of threw some shots at Madison during that. That was good. But this was pretty much like what we've been seeing from the Serena Deeb matches. She goes in there, she does her thing where she smacks the knee to the mat. It looks absolutely vicious. She gets in her Serenity Lock and gets the win. Harmless match. That's about it. Nothing else much to add there. It was so-so. Someone said it was so-so, so it kind of brought it up. All right, let's talk about the matches that are happening for Dynamite on Wednesday. So we have Britt Baker and Serena Deeb teaming up to take on Hikaru Shida and Toni Storm. Jon Moxley versus Sammy Guevara, part of the tournament. And then Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson as part of the tournament. Predictions, I'm expecting it to be Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson at AEW Grand Slam. And I'm expecting it to be Bryan Danielson who wins. Those are my predictions right now. Rampage next Friday. Samoa Joe versus Josh Woods for the ROH World TV Championship. All right, last but not least, we got Claudio Castagnoli versus Dax Harwood for the ROH World Championship today in the main event. This felt like a really big deal main event, so I'm really glad that they did this. I think it was in the media call right before All Out. Tony Khan did basically tell people like, hey, we're going to be putting on bigger matches on Rampage. We're going to kind of, give Rampage a little bit more because for a while there, it kind of felt like you could be missing these Rampages. Like there really wasn't like too much of a reason to tune into Rampage. So I feel like at least like the way that they promoted this match with two top guys, it felt like a reason to tune into the show. They gave this match a lot of time, rightfully so. They needed to, especially for a world championship match. They definitely needed to give it plenty of time. And they did. And they finally alluded to the events that occurred at the last ROH show. So that was good because they had kind of left that like there really wasn't like a follow-up to that, really. This was a fine match. It was, I think the crowd could have been a little bit more into it. Maybe they were tired already at this point of the show for the tapings, obviously. But I just didn't really feel like I didn't really feel like the reactions to this match were what I expected them to be. There were some moments that I liked. The vertical suplex to the outside of the ring, that looked absolutely brutal, the landing and everything. I love that Claudio found all of these different ways to hit those uppercuts. I loved the cross body counter that we saw during this. Claudio, excuse me. I keep writing Cesaro all over my notes, so it'll say Claudio in one line, then the next line I'll write Cesaro, and then the next line it'll say Claudio and then Cesaro again. So anyway, so my bad. We got Claudio doing the big swing, and then he goes in, gets the sharpshooter. I love the way that Dax ends up afterwards. He ends up locking in the sharpshooter. I love the way that he did that himself. And I also love the way that every time Cesaro got his arms up to try and get himself out of it, Dax was like kicking his arms down. I really, really love that. In the end, we do end up seeing Claudio get the win. I thought this match was all right. I did not think that it met the expectations that we all thought it was going to be. I thought this match was all right. I did think it was going to be a little bit better, but keep in mind, I feel like matches like this, there's been some matches, and I know that I've talked about this in the past, where there's been some matches that are like so-so, right? Like they're not that great, they're fine, but the crowd usually elevates those matches a lot more. And I do think that that's what this match lacked. I don't think that the crowd was like super hot for it. And I don't think there was ever like a moment where this match really peaked. But for a Rampage, I guess it's fine. But I think given just like, it being Claudio and Dax, I was expecting a little bit more in terms of how I felt about this match. I think afterwards I was just like, okay, cool, we're done. Like, that's it. Like, I didn't have this moment of like, holy shit, this is great. So it's fine, whatever. Claudio retains, good victory for him. It was expected. They weren't going to have him lose the championship like right now. So Claudio wins, and this is just a nice way to get him on the show, on the main event, and get the title defended. Alrighty, and let's see what we got here. This is from M. Caspito, who said that post-wrestling said the crowd was dead for Rampage, tired from Dynamite and Elevation. Yeah, you could tell. It was very, very obvious, and I do think that hurt a couple, especially, it mainly hurt the main event, I would say, because, again, given the star status of these two guys, you were expecting them to be a little bit more like, hot for it. Alrighty, we got Fernando says that this was a good match. Let's see what else we got. To get some good comments in here. This is from YT says he really wanted to see this match. You should still go out of your way to watch it. Really still go out of your way to watch it, but it just wasn't what I think that I was truly expecting from it. Alrighty, everybody. And the Coyote also says the crowd got up for the signature spots, and that was about it. Yeah, obviously, when he does the big swing, people are going to get up for that. There's going to be reactions for all of that. Haj Gulashi says live Rampage just hits different. I get why they can't always do it, but dang, I prefer when they do. Yeah, of course. Obviously, the live audience, having the show be live is always going to hit differently, for sure. Alrighty, everybody, there you go. That was September 9th. Friday night Smackdown and AEW Rampage. Two pretty good shows back to back. Definitely improvement on both sides, both Smackdown and Rampage. And we could only go up from here. Next week, Smackdown is going to be in my neck of the woods. It's going to be in Anaheim. I don't think I'm going to the show, though, because I don't want to go to the show and then not be able to do this post show. And I have to sometimes work a lot on Fridays, like at GCW and other stuff. And so I don't like to miss these shows when I don't have to. So I don't think I'm going to be at Smackdown in Anaheim, but I don't know. Maybe I don't think I'm going to change my mind. I feel like for the most part, I'm going to be here. So yeah, but either way, I will be here next week for NXT, AEW Dynamite, Smackdown, and Rampage conversations. Alrighty, everyone. I will see you later. Please do not forget to head on over to youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. Check out that CM Punk video, guys. It's almost at 1 million, and Lord knows that I needed to hit 1 million. And then if you haven't already, make sure to follow me on Twitter and or on Instagram @_Denise Salcedo. See you guys later. Bye, everyone.